Welcome back everybody to another Pick Your Poison tournament cast. Shout out to Daniela and Komi for organizing the event again. It's been ongoing for over a month now and we've had lots of cool games. So make sure to also show them some love and respect for organizing everything. Now today we've got another high elo matchup here that of course we typically don't engage with so often on this stream, but this one is bracket D in the tournament, so it's players between 17 and 1900 elo ish is kind of the range here, and we're in the semi-finals of this bracket. So this is still at the best of 3 stage in the event. Of course, I've streamed a couple of finals casts lately, which were best of 5 series, but just so you guys remember, for all the previous rounds of the tournament, it's just some best of 3s. So, win 2 games, you move on to the finals. Umdeuter against aleksanderG. And these here are the drafts. Now, there seems to have been a little bit of an issue there with the one random roll, but of course we can infer what the matchups are going to be. We're going to have Italians against Japanese in game number 1. Then we've got Arena is going to be Mayans against not the Inca, but of course Lithuanians. It should be the last remaining civ there. And then on Nomad, apparently it's going to be Malay against Franks. So let's dive into that, shall we? Shout out to aleksanderG for dropping me a follow on Twitch. Thanks a lot for that. Hope you'll enjoy this, and I hope we'll all be enjoying the games you guys played. Now, it should be said that for the first game right here, there seems to have been an issue with the recording or whatever, but I only have this one, which starts 6.5 minutes in, but it should still be a good game. But since we are missing the Dark Age portion of this game, I think we should do the quick civilization overview before we actually start rolling with this one. So on the left side, we've got the Italians for Alexander. This is the restore, he says in the stream chat. Yeah, I figured, which is fine. Of course, we still get to see the majority of this game, hopefully. I mean, I don't know how long exactly it lasts, but there we go. On the left side, it's Italians for Alexander, which is a civ we've seen tons of times. People in this tournament have picked lots of these flexible hybrid or water map civs so that they can avoid getting really bad maps picked for them. But of course, still a fine civ to play on Arabia as well. Maybe some of the bonuses that could be interesting here, of course, the cheaper uptimes that might have already played a role in this one, since we can see Alexander got up to the next stage before Umdeuter here, apparently. And then also, well, of course, the naval bonuses are not relevant, but Genoese crossbowmen, a decent unit against cavalry, maybe not what we expect out of the Japanese there. And yeah, I guess cheaper university checks. I'm not the biggest Italians fan, but maybe he can surprise us here on Arabia. On the right side here, though, it's going to be the Japanese for Umdeuter. And, well, that is a civ that's also, of course, prominent on water maps, but I think pretty cool for Arabia as well. In my own series in this tournament, I also had to face Japanese on Arabia, and it didn't go so well for me, so maybe I'm a bit biased as well. Notable bonuses there are the cheaper eco buildings there. Half the wood cost on those allows you either to get away with less wood cutting, or also to just place down more eco buildings and thus get a more efficient early game economy going. Also, of course, well known for the infantry, faster attack, starting feudal age, so scary to get into infantry battles with Japanese. But that being said, let's actually get the game rolling now and see where we are at. Game number 1 of the series, it's the neutral map. Whoever wins this gets off to a comfortable start here going forward. Of course, since this is a best of 3 only, 2 victories are enough to move on to the next round. As we saw already, Alexander is on the way to feudal age. He's going for 3 on gold, maybe just a Oh, what's going on here? Okay, interesting. The color schemes, interesting how that works. Interesting mill placement also, kind of walling himself in with the barracks a bit. On the other side, no mill yet for Alexander. He's going for the 17 villager up with the double building here. Kind of very similar to the archer builds I'm actually doing myself these days. So we'll see. Just expecting single range archers to start off here for Alexander. And on the other side for Umdeuter, well, he's also going to go to gold for now, it seems. But as we can see, going into militia, so might just actually be going for men-at-arms as well. So that is something we've rarely seen in this tournament so far. Well, at least in the majority low elo games that I've been casting. But we'll see if that finds success. Of course, we've highlighted the Japanese bonus on infantry attack. So I think it's not a bad idea on paper. He's gonna go forward and let's see what he'll be able to find with that. Alexander being up first to feudal age, already working on that archery range though. And as we've seen, the small walls here on the gold aren't going to be doing a whole lot for Umdeuter once the Italians come forward. Good job scouting that though, that is big. Umdeuter going to be immediately aware of the archery range going up and of the timings and whatnot, so he knows he's going to be the first one to attack. He's not actually getting men-at-arms just yet, but there we go, coming in right now. And getting a loom as well, so it's a bit tricky though with the food cost, of course. He doesn't have that many villagers on food, but did a nice job balancing that out. I'm not sure if the idle TC times are broken. Oh no, they are not, but we probably didn't get to see what exactly happened in Dark Age there. Nonetheless, Umdeuter now forward and able to get on that gold here for the Italians. Maybe a bit sloppy to leave that one half open, but going to still try and get away with the villagers. I'm almost certain one of them is going to die though, the blocking, but okay, he manages to just about pull the villagers out of there, and Umdeuter now going to have to abandon the chase, loses the scout, trades only for the spearman, goes back underneath the castle. Wow, he must have been distracted on defense here against the archer or whatever, but that is massive. Not the start he was looking for here. Definitely doesn't get a single eco kill here and loses almost the entire forward that he had, and is now getting pushed by those archers. Good job getting up the archery range though, as he scouted that range for Alex. Was the proper reaction, so at least gonna get some skirmishes out here, but with not having his own scout, not having a spearman, it's really tricky to defend the skirmishes against the horsey, and thus gonna be forced to abandon the gold here. No eco kills on either side just yet, but rough start for Umdeuter, I would argue nonetheless. It looks like that last man-at-arm has also been taken out. Well, yeah, we don't see it in the army list, so it's actually pretty nice here for Alex, I would say. I mean, it's not like he's fully walled, but at least he's cleaned up the entire army that was forward, and he's currently controlling the map. Still able to harass a little bit with his archers there, but gotta of course be careful, taking 2 hits from that spearman, so that's gonna make that scout useless. Ends up dropping here. Archer micro, okay. He's trying to, is he gonna be able to take out the spear? He is, but that being said, he doesn't really have that much army forward anymore. Still can be annoying at times, but at this point it looks like Umdeuter has enough skirmishes out there so to defend himself adequately. And at this point, Alex, he's kind of controlling the map, but he's not going to be able to get any more damage done on offense. He's going to have to decide how heavy he wants to go into army here during feudal age. I would assume, especially since with the Italians, the age up is cheaper. Maybe he's just gonna go to castle age with kind of minimal investment from here on out. But he's still producing archers, so that's interesting. I would have thought, well, he doesn't even have fletching yet, so it is interesting for me that he's going that heavily into archers. If you've committed into fletching already, you might feel like, yeah, I gotta make use of that. But he goes into fletching behind this anyways. So this is going to be another potent attack here, but good job by Umdeuter. Also, he's probably expecting this because he's still queuing up skirmishes, which is a gamble here. if Alexander didn't go into any more archers whatsoever, was just sitting on those four archers or whatever he had, and did a switch into scouts, for example, or just went up straight to Castle Age or whatever else, that skirmisher investment from Umdeuter here would be kind of all for naught. Nice work here, Alex, wrapping around, getting in the back of Umdeuter's eco once again here, and getting that first villager kill already. With fletching here, you can see those archers definitely hurt. That's a second villager going down. And Umdeuter, man, he's got all the right army here and whatnot, but getting hit from two angles now, he's really struggling keeping up with that. And he's got so many skirmishers, he should be able to split those up in groups, and instead he's idling his gold miners right now, chasing down some archers. But Alex is just going to head straight out of there, and he's now going into scouts behind this. Okay. So it took some time, but he's got that stable up and scout forward now. There's no armor on this one, so it's actually going to be dying pretty fast, even to skirmishers, I would assume. But man, he's getting those hits in here nicely. Archer comes out to help out as well for Umdeuter. I mean, he's got decent army, but since he's on defense and Alex is actually choosing the battlegrounds here for where to attack, it's really difficult to always avoid losses and keep everything self at once. So nice pressure so far from the Italians. They're up by 3 villagers at this point, both players with a little less than a minute of idle TC time, so no huge gap there. But obviously those 2 villager kills were pretty big, and he's even now getting scale barding there for his scouts, which I agree with. If you want to try and break up this mainly skirmisher force, he goes in there though 20 seconds before getting the upgrade. Let's see if that's going to be an issue. The spearman is a really good idea here for Umdeuter, but he's not currently getting to hit actually. Lots of damage coming out from the archers. Spearman has also been taken out. Nice micro by Alexander, and this is going to be a great fight for him, I believe. The archers are getting a few in between though, but he's managed to take out almost all the skirmishers already. And the scouts are still working away at this. They've now gotten the armor upgrade in as well, and this is a rough fight here. Of course, both parties losing almost their entire armies, but again the eco idle a bit there for Umdeuter, and Alex still going in to try and take out these skirmishers. Not quite going to get it now with some skirmishers himself. And what do you know? I mean, it's heavy trading early on here in Feudal Age. Not tons of eco damage done, but still pressure. And Alex is keeping the attention, or so to speak, the ball on Umdeuter's side of the court. So that is an advantage that is not to be underestimated here. Brings over another small force here, is not letting loose, and keeps making sure he's actually pressuring from multiple sides at once, although the wards here are pretty good for Umdeuter. Not able to range the gold there is Alex, and gonna have to back off eventually. This is a rough army to fight. I mean, Umdeuter really investing heavily into military there, lots of different unit types as well. So this is not that easy, and we see the result is the expected one. Alex up to Castle Age first, although Umdeuter is not far behind. He did a decent job stabilizing overall, but there were some significant losses nonetheless. He's putting down very conservative walls here. He doesn't have the luxury of branching out at all just yet. And he's only got that main stone, that main gold in his base. 2 wood lines only really that he can work. That's really it. Trying to put up this market. He's been able to click up without the market luckily, but it's still a pain to get this one to go up. Finally it does so. And both players now content on the way to Castle Age. 40 seconds advantage for the Italians, getting their eco upgrades behind this. Gotta feel pretty good, and now they've got a decision to make what to do here. In early Castle Age, there's always multiple options. You gotta choose which unit type you want to go into, how many TCs you want to go get out of the gate with, and what you expect your opponent to do as well. At this stage, I mean, Umdeuter has gold and stone within his base, so he's got some options. Tower now going to be his defense, though. That is interesting. Wow. Wow, I wonder if that is the ideal play here, just going for a tower. I'm not sure I agree with this one. Right before Castle Age as well, he's not going to be able to drop any town centers there. I mean, is he just gonna go full army early castle age to get the map control back? It is plausible, but he now puts down this tower. And the worst thing about this is, if he had left it at 95%, then sure, Alex wouldn't have known that a tower had come down. Or maybe it was within his range of vision. Anyways, I don't think so though. And now he's just let the opponent know that he's invested a lot of stone into this defense. Not going to be able to drop TCs. On the other side, Alex goes for one additional TC right now. And it looks like he's going to go into knights as well. Alongside some crossbow though. Okay, this is a big investment here. He's again branching out, getting quite a lot of military here. We'll see if he's actually going to be able to balance that properly. When you do 2 TCs and 2 different gold units especially, it can be tough to balance that eco and keep the villager protection going. He's found a great little pocket here though with the Botkin crossbows. Ranging that gold now after breaking through that palisade wall. I'm not sure Umdeuter had thought that far. That tower, in hindsight, might have been placed better in the north here. I still can't get quite why he would be dropping it down here, to be honest. But completely forced off of gold right now, and this is not looking great for the Japanese, who they've got a lot of farming space down here, but no gold resources anymore. And once those knights start coming in especially, it's going to be a bit tricky. He's got 200 gold left in the bank, investing that into crossbowmen right now himself. I might have expected a pikeman upgrade, to be honest. But, well, there's only one knight so far for Alex forward here, so I guess Umdeuter doesn't, or feels like he cannot afford to opt into pikes this heavily. He's managed to sneak out this little raiding party forward, though. Let's see how Alex reacts to this one. There's not going to be a house wall sufficient to stop this, I don't think. Or is there? It doesn't look like that's going to be taking place. So, alright, good counter raid here for the Japanese. Sneaky, sneaky, the way he got in there. And he's getting some counter raids. Nicely done. Alex forced to break out of there with his lumberjacks. And on his side here on offense, he's still not pulling back any army here, interestingly. He's just kind of letting this thing happen. Possibly thinking that he can get the same or more damage done on offense himself. He's not firing with the crossbows though, so the reaction here has certainly been a little bit suboptimal, to say the least. But he's now in and can again zone the opponent off of gold while at the same time getting pressured himself at home. Good job with the house wall. He's trapping him in there, and that's big shots. Okay, he's taken care of that raiding party for now. And he's lost quite a bit here. You can see 7 eco kills for Umdeuter here. It is pretty massive, but it's double TC for the Italians and still no gold to be ranged for Umdeuter, who's still got 16 crossbows, so that is a significant army. But it feels pretty good for Alex right now. That said though, we've got triple TC for the Japanese because, well, stone is all they kind of have right now. So just dropping more TCs probably feels natural. 3rd TC also being added behind this for Alex. Eco numbers exactly even at this point. The army pretty comparable. We've got some knights and siege on Alex's side, but a big crossbow stack on Umdeuter's side that can well eclipse its monetary value in terms of impact. So it's definitely not a huge gap in terms of army here, despite what the resource cost at the top might suggest. And let's check out the upgrades as well. We've pretty much got equal upgrades on both sides. Both players having Botkin. Alex has the scale barding from earlier, and archer padding for Umdeuter himself, who's simply going full crossbows for now. And crossbows in big enough numbers can deal with knights, certainly. It's getting a bit tricky against mangonels though, and that's exactly what Alex is bringing here to kind of again force Umdeuter off the wood line, try and pressure the TCs. Let's check out Alex's vision here. Yeah, he knows about this one additional TC and is going to cast stones at it, making that side of the eco again pretty useless here. Look at all this mass migration of lumberjacks. That's going to be the most inefficient lumber camp I've seen in a while. Oh, but he doesn't have really good alternatives there. Maybe could have tried to erect one in the south. And for now it just looks like he's going to get broken into. He's bringing his own mangonel though. Good shot here to start off with. There's lots of ranged units going down. Good shot at the opponent's mangonels too. Loses his one finally, but that wasn't a bad mangonel. He's going to need more of those though, and he doesn't have any gold income. So he's going to need to use the market if he wants to make more mangonels. I think castle is what he's looking for right now to defend against this push. Let's see where he's going to try and put that one up. He's got a lot of stone, and the castle is over here in the east, hopefully, or hoping to secure a little bit more gold for himself. It's not a great position there, not on top of a hill or anything, but it looks like it's going to go up undetected, and that would be fine. I mean, there's one woman repairing the town center there. Well, lucky she's getting out alive for sure. And he's gathering up the crossbowmen under the TC. He feels like he's going to get broken into soon, and he's going to have superb defense mechanics here if he wants to stay alive in this one, because he's again being forced to migrate large parts of his eco. He's gotten the castle up, so this is a big thing here. Lots of villages again. His eco is really inefficient for now. The wood line is inefficient. The gold over here is going to be inefficient. Luckily, both golds being over here in the east, maybe allowing him to now collect some gold, store some up, and kind of float on that in terms of his defense. But he's been broken into in the south now, and that's triple mangonel going to fire away at the tertiary TC down here, which Alex has now spotted. And well, he's actually going around it. I guess he's really trying to get into the eco, not so much interested in the TCs for now. Now positioning the mangonels on the hills though, and that TC is going to melt there, isn't it? All the mangonels in the north getting some decent trades against the knights, but there's a mangonel there as well. So the crossbows again having to retreat, and gotta be careful. This is a huge, powerful stack, but it can vanish within seconds if mangonel shots come in right. Okay, that wasn't a bad one. The mangonel taking little damage from down the hill though, and so he's still getting some decent shots out of there, but nice movement for Umdeuter. He's avoiding the brunt of that damage, and that was a fine first trade. Wow, it looks like he traded 2 for 1 with a mangonel down here. Let's rewind that actually, since we're watching a VOD. Let's see how that trade transpired. Man, what was going on there? Okay, 2 with 1 stone, so to speak. Not bad. Nicely done by Umdeuter. He's getting great value army-wise out of the trades on defense. It's still not a great position, obviously. He's losing all his TCs and whatnot, but at least he's getting some fine trades, which he's going to need more of if he wants to stabilize this situation. He's taking care of a good amount of enemy army, but there's still so much left, and he's only down to 1 TC, so it's going to be difficult to continue booming up here. All the knights rampaging through the gold miners as well. It's not an enviable position, and I wonder how Umdeuter is going to come back from this. He's gone into samurai a little bit here. I wonder if that is the most effective unit, because there's 0 upgrades on those. No infantry upgrades having come in yet for Japan here. And look at the stats, it's a 10-1-1 unit, just getting evaporated by those crossbowmen. The bonus damage, of course, against unique units is pretty nice, but Alex isn't currently using any Genoese, so that's not going to be too relevant. It's a difficult one. All his crossbows is really everything he's got to try and stabilize the situation. He's not got any more stone, though, so it's not like he can drop any more TCs for now. The eco situation is not going to get better here, although he's able to pick off that mangonel with a knight, so good attention on the south end of the fight as well. Alright, both players on the way to Imp. 1 minute faster was Alex, who doesn't actually have a castle right now, and he's also quite a bit away from getting one in terms of stone, unless he wants to heavily buy one. Yeah, he's not going to be able to just trap away at Umdeuter, so Japanese here catching a bit of a break. Gonna be able to stabilize for a while. They're still gonna be behind in eco, but they kind of have the map control for now. Heavily outnumbering there in terms of military. Still crossbowmen, kind of everything that Alex is making, but he's got the 2 mangonels, which are gonna be really important against the crossbow masters that are about to come in here. The trades pick back up here, and that's not enough crossbowmen really to manage, but great mangonel shot here to fire off. And a lot of crossbowmen already going down. The knight is going to rain terror though on the mangonels, but for some reason the crossbowmen step up again before the knight takes care of the mangonel, and that's huge losses for Umdeuter, who really can't afford to take any such bad trades right now. Sure, he's got the map control, but he doesn't have the eco to rebuild the army there that he's losing. Oh, that wasn't the greatest of trades, I gotta say. He had a good window there, punishing Alex while his eco, or his army rather, wasn't built up as much yet. But didn't work out the way he imagined it, I bet. And there we go, the crossbowmen again trying to go forward. Their mangonels casting the stones. Oh, it's difficult to watch here. Any slip up could end the game for Umdeuter. He's again up to his 20, 30-ish crossbows. Not a bad amount here, but gotta take care of his eco. First and foremost, he's only on 2 TCs. He's gathered up some more stones, so that is good. That's really important to secure more parts of the map. But the GC is again under fire, again from uphill, so that's gonna melt pretty quickly. He's made just again one knight. I really feel like he's got no plan for how to deal with those mangonels. It feels like he's tried a few times now just stepping up with the crossbowmen, but really hasn't found the damage there. And those singular knights aren't gonna cut it there against the siege, which is so important to take out if your main army component is crossbowmen. So it's still looking quite scary, and he feels like he's got to step up here apparently. Firing away at the mangonel. Good. First one is already taken out. That was nicely done. Big stone throw. Oh lordy, that's a lot of crossbowmen going down there. Ouch, that sucked to watch. I mean, he gets both of the mangonels to go down, but at what cost really? Oh, and he calls it GG right after this. Alexander here with a nice controlled game from early on. That one counter raid he suffered was pretty scary, but manages to close this one out quite convincingly nonetheless. And as a player of around 100 less elo here, he's had a great show in the first game, neutral map, meaning that we're gonna go to game 2 on Umdeuter's home map next, which if we take a look at the draft again, is gonna be Nomad apparently. So game 2 seems to be on Nomad then. And that is luxury here for Alexander now. He doesn't need to win this game. He still has the luxury to fall back on his home map to close the series out on Arena potentially. But let's check this one out then first, shall we? I'll try to load that one up. Give me a second. We can dive right in obviously, because unlike yesterday, we're casting What's Today. So, in the semi-final series, Alexander has went up 1-0. And going into game 2 now, we're on Umdeuter's home map, which is Nomad, where anything can happen. And let's roll right into this. It's Franks against Malay. Was it Franks against Malay? Really, I already forgot about that. Man, that's an interesting Nomad matchup. I mean, both civs we've already seen plentiful of, but kind of reminiscent of yesterday, right? Yesterday where we saw the Decider being played on islands with Franks against Persians, where there's like one great water civ and another civ that really doesn't fit on that map. And so you feel like, okay, it's a bit awkward. I mean, it's just, some people would call it a civ win, you know. But it's not as bad on this one. Nomad is pretty flexible there. You can go for some different strategies, and depending on what the map gives you, it's not as cut and dry. Nonetheless, I still think Alexander probably pretty happy getting Malay here. Although you shouldn't underestimate the land power of Franks. Now, Malay on the right side here for Alexander, who is looking to close out the series here and move on to the finals with a victory in this game. His bonuses include faster advancing to the next age, which I think is super good on water maps, just because oftentimes the early water control is super important, and if you are able to get up to the next age first, if you then are able to produce navy first, get your numbers up earlier, that oftentimes can translate into leads on water. And so I think it's really a good bonus to have on this type of a map. Then of course his fishing fish trap bony, very well known for Malay fish boom, can be applied here as well. And the big one, the new bonus, free infantry armor upgrades. That is so good. I say this every single time, but man, if you get those free infantry armor upgrades, so oftentimes, especially early on in Castle Age, when people raid you with knights, for example, it's really difficult to get us to get a good answer for that up. But even if you don't have the pikeman upgrade, just having the double infantry armor there, because as soon as you hit Castle Age, you've got the chainmail armor in the bank. your spearmen trade really nicely into enemy knights, especially if they aren't amazingly upgraded. So it's a terror, really is difficult to deal with. So that's just some of the pretty interesting bonuses there for the melee. On the other side, we've got the Franks, which is not a well-known water civ, but well, Umdeuter wasn't the one getting to decide where that civ would be played. We know, of course, they've got that berry bonus, and all their bonuses kind of transitioning really nicely into the cavalry rush, because, of course, not only do you get the berries faster and have more food in the early game than the generic civilization, but you also get extra HP on your cavalry starting in H2, so a scout rush is really potent in that regard, just more tanky as well. And yeah, that's really what the Franks do most efficiently. Of course, free mill upgrades is pretty nice, as I've said yesterday as well. When you on water maps, when you lose your fishing economy and are forced to transition into farms, which happens sooner or later in most games, then having the mill upgrades already there is very convenient. Of course, Frankish Knights, pretty well known extra line of sight on those, combined with the extra HP from the aforementioned bonus, potential chivalry in Imperial Age, where your stables just become knight printers. Pretty scary, I gotta say. So it's definitely not an easy or free game for Alexander to play, despite having the allegedly better water civ here. So how do these two guys play it? It looks like for now Alexander has gotten off to the way cleaner build. 30 seconds of idle time for Umdeuter. Might have struggled a bit with the food-wood balance early on here. As for fishing ship, he's already on 3, whereas Alexander is still making a third, but there's not a big gap in between there. And in terms of villager numbers, of course, Alexander ahead by 1 will, since he doesn't have that 30 seconds idle time. So overall, just that 1 villager lead is kind of everything separating these two players right now. Looks like, yeah, dock right here for Umdeuter behind his TC. Pretty convenient. And same thing for Alex. So they're pretty far apart with their 2 docks. I want to also check out real quick the scouting that they've done. Is anybody aware of where their opponents have started? Probably. Okay, so he spotted the Malay dock, which is pretty important, pretty impactful, and good sheep scouting around the northern coast as well. That's what I like to do oftentimes as well, is scout around the coast with your sheep. Because, so, well, you get a pretty good sense of the map that way, is what I feel. On the other side, let's see what Alex actually sees. Oops, there we go. Well, it looks like he's got considerably less vision, and especially, yeah, he's lost that 1 sheep here. So maybe he could infer that Umdeuter is somewhere to the west, but that's really all he's got to go off. Scouting heavily here in the east as well, but there's of course no opponents to be found here. Regardless, has less info to go off of right now, so maybe that's a good advantage for Umdeuter to play with. Maybe able to surprise Alex with the likes of a scout rush. We'll see, though. The standard play has been to go for feudal age as fast as possible, and then of course double dock navy, but there have been some deviations from this standard strat, so it's not impossible that we'll actually be seeing some more interesting or unconventional stuff. Or, well, bit too fat it looks like to get through this gap here. The woman villager kind of zoning away the boar, but luckily able to now have it come the other way around, and finally the lure can go through. Alexander on the way to feudal age has a really nice timing here, and with the shorter research time that we've already touched on, he's gonna be there in no time. Umdeuter, meanwhile, he's still working on his own food income here, putting up the mill on the berries now, which he's gonna want to utilize, but we see Alexander at the same time. He's already got an outpost on him. That's a very interesting investment here. He's spreading out outposts across the map. That's an interesting strategy, really is. And we're getting into villager combat here. Okay, stabbing each other. Alex realizing that the numbers might not be quite in his favor. And he's going to head out of there. And we're gonna see the counter outpost for the Franks here. The little bit higher elo gameplay here. People going for outposts early on. Not something we've seen as much of in previous Nomad games in this tournament, I gotta say. That Alexander, he's now queuing up some galleys. He's only got one dock though. He's had a really early uptime, so his eco maybe isn't as well built up just yet. Only one dock and only now starting to make galleys. It feels like he was pretty late on that. Umdeuter, regardless, still a minute away from feudal age. He's got double dock going himself and maybe a bit more solid eco. So he might just be able to win water here early on, and that would of course be massive despite getting such a slower uptime. If he managed to secure the water lead early on and take away Malay's fishing opportunity, that would be a big swing in the game where one of the core bonuses could not be utilized by Alexander. And all of a sudden maybe Umdeuter's chances aren't as bad anymore, so we'll see how that goes. He's got the double docks up. He's gonna start queuing up ships immediately here, presumably. Although he also isn't the fastest with that currently. That's surprising to me. Why are we not immediately queuing up double dock? I guess it's just go in fast castle. But even now, I guess he needs the gold to go FC. He's got 1100 food though, so that's an interesting decision to make. I guess he might have thought that, yeah, the enemy was way faster up to feudal age. There's really no point skirmishing for the water right now. Maybe he was intending on going FC the entire time though. It's hard to say, but he's got the build off cleanly. He's gonna lose his fishing economy for it. We'll see if that'll end up being worthwhile. Tricky always. I haven't really seen people succeed with that type of strategy in this tourney so far. But, well, Umdeuter is just going to have to succeed, otherwise the tournament ends here for him. And that would be a shame. You're going out in 2 games, so he's going to try to make this work to the best of his ability. Galleys out for Alexander, which are very effective at taking out fishing ship, but now finally we see fire ships coming out for Umdeuter, and those trade really well against galleys. Alexander also going up to castle now after realizing the opponent is probably already on his way. And he's going to get there at virtually the same time. But this is a pretty rough trade here with the galleys against the fire. Getting fletching now and still continuing to commit towards 1 dock galleys is a bit surprising to me, I gotta say. If we go in galleys, why are we not going double dock? Alright, we really need a lot of them to make them work. I think anyways. Even bringing the fishing ship, might have tried to block some with that. But, interesting. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a difficult battle to fight on water here. Both players up to castle age here in a second. But the fire ships here, they're no joke. This is not good trades to be taken. And that's another one coming out there from Umdeuter. So he's really winning out in the naval battle so far. Still trading with outposts are the 2 players here. But it's getting chaotic on water here. And there's still just that 1 dock and still a commitment to galleys for Alexander. Interesting choice. Meanwhile, a town center going up in the middle here for Umdeuter. That is an interesting spot. I mean, it's pretty far out there, but if he's able to get this one to go down, that would be pretty great. I mean, it's on top of a hill, lots of resources around it. Well, this is a good TC, even a better castle location, I feel like, nearby this one. But starting out with a TC, not a bad idea. Gonna gather more stone and go from there. Crossbowman seems to be the build for Alexander. He's really not interested in heavily contesting water, and I gotta wonder if that is the right choice for him. I really do, because, I mean, he had the great uptimes there. There wasn't really anything prohibiting him from going for the water. He just chose not to, and he's gonna have to make up for that with a good strategy on land, where he's doing double range crossbows for now. He's got the fletching upgrade anyways. But the fishing economy is going to suffer now. He's going to lose all of that. And as of now, he doesn't have any other docks to flee to or relocate his fishing economy to. So that's going to suffer. And as I said before, losing your fishing economy suddenly often results in pretty rough farming transitions. Now luckily he's still got a good amount of herdables underneath here that's going to sustain his food income for a while, and he doesn't need any food for crossbow siege, which he's currently making. But Frank's already on the double TC here, gonna boom ahead with the villagers and securing valuable resources in the process. I'm not sure I love this game state for Alexander. Yeah, he's just completely getting chased out of there on the water, having given up that front presumably as well. And with the siege vector, he's going to have to make that one count. Goes in there with the crossbowman. TC right there to protect though, and the house wall is pretty effective too. Woodline might be idled though. That is an inconvenient position for Umdeuter, who's gonna lose that first villager. And has a mangonel though, very early. Good reaction though on the mangonel, I gotta say. I like that. Crossbowman against mangonel. Let's see how the micro is gonna be. Okay, that was a decent shot. Umdeuter, not bad. Going to need some more, but just about able to get out of there is Alexander. Okay, he needs to conserve those crossbowman masses because he really doesn't have a great eco. So he cannot afford to throw away army lightly. He's gonna need to find great trades with it. He's added that one mangonel behind it as well. Okay, trading with singular crossbowmen against mangonels is always a good idea. And way more effective. Loses that one here. And the mangonel is likely going to be repaired. It's really difficult to push a mangonel that's on a hill though. So Alexander cannot really use his own one very effectively to push this TC. He's keeping Umdeuter on his toes though. Constantly having to macro that siege, even with the Scorpion now. And that's a great shot here. The crossbowmen have been caught idle. Alexander seems distracted here at one point or another. And he's losing more crossbowmen on the side to the fire ship. That is mega unfortunate. This fire ship is absolutely tearing those apart. That's 6 kills on that one ship. Oh, that is disaster. That's the majority of the crossbowman stack gone, and already knights on the way for Umdeuter. I feel like, man, it's a pretty good position to be in, even with the 30C going up already. The Franks here, I mean, big parts of the eco were being idled, sure. And in terms of eco KD, it's not looking like either side has a huge advantage. But he's got an army KD of 18 to 8. Sure, siege can be a little bit deceptive in that. But it's not like... Yeah, he took out Alexander's mangonel as well. So his trades have been awesome so far. And that TC secures the entire northern side of the eco too. It looks like a pretty solid positions for the Franks. Well, I mean, this looks hilarious. It looks like they're just stranded in there. And they're just gonna get taken out here. 2 blue ships randomly stuck in a pond near the orange base. Don't see that all the time. And now finally Alexander also trying to branch out with the TC, but he's really given up a lot here in the early game and really barely got anything in return. It's a difficult position he's maneuvered himself into. He's going into monks now, trying against obviously the Frankish knights. Okay, well, so far the crossbowmen are trading just fine against the knights. But obviously as Umdeuter continues to build those up, that's not the easiest there to handle. And with the elevation advantage that he's got with this siege, he's really unable to engage that there. And again, just going to try to raid through the bottom side of the base. But with town centers and all the crucial locations, it feels like Umdeuter has secured a big enough eco for himself that he should be able to at least get ahead by a decent amount in this one, it feels like. 2 TCs against 3, still a decent eco number advantage here, just because of the idle time. Umdeuter sitting at 12 minutes of idle TC time, on top of all the idle worker time that he gets just for garrisoning all those units constantly. But, you know, I mean, at least that is some damage for Umdeuter, but he really can't know that, obviously. He can't know that the opponent's town centers have barely been working in this game. From his perspective, it has to look pretty tragic, although he's still ahead in score and he's getting some good shots in on that castle foundation. Conversion coming in, he's actually gotten that one to go through. Knight still storming in there to take out the mangonel. He's got to repair it with a villager, but he didn't notice possibly that he still had the villager there. So loses the mangonel, going to lose the villager on top of it. trying to try back for a mangonel now, and he was able to deny the castle for the Franks, but they were able to hold on to the stone apparently. So that one is going to come back shortly, I imagine. Was maybe a bit of an ambitious castle drop for Umdeuter, and I feel like he doesn't need to be taking it this fast. He's got the triple TC against 2. Oh, fair enough, I mean, he doesn't know that. He's got the water control, which should count for more than it does. I'm not sure why he didn't add any more fishing ships here. But, you know, he's very busy on land right now, and that's another castle that's going to be very difficult to get up there. Feels like Umdeuter, maybe he's really feeling the pressure here in an elimination game, but he's trying to get this castle to go up with his mangonel to support. Gets lots of crossbow kills over here, actually. Nicely microed. Okay, and with that mangonel performing just well enough, it feels like the castle might end up going up. Trading another few shots and somehow actually ends up killing that. That looked a bit weird, but I guess that just wasn't an uphill shot after all. Another shot on the crossbowman, good micro this time, and Alexander finally able to take out the siege, but not gonna be able to deny the castle after all. As I said, there's a beautiful hill to castle. Would have liked to see the castle more east or more south, but as we saw, Umdeuter didn't have the map control to do that. Another shot downhill, and that's a really good trade for the mangonel. I've been saying this. It's so difficult as another huge volley fells about 8 crossbowmen or whatever that was. What are these trades for Umdeuter? Oh man, a disaster piece for Alexander, as he says himself in chat. Oh, this is such a difficult position to storm for anyone. And especially for mangonels and crossbowmen who just get obliterated by single mangonel volleys. Oh boy. It's a 4th TC going up for Alexander now. He's now taking the eco approach after all of this. 4 TCs also for the Franks though, who are finally getting up a decent farming economy. But still, of course, lots of idle time there. He's now able to push back a bit against the Malay though, and the army advantage isn't necessarily anymore in Alexander's hands. The villager numbers are again pretty much identical, so there's not a clear or big lead for either party, but it just feels like Umdeuter is in such a nicer spot, controlling lots of resources here with TCs and castles, and gonna get that Frank cavalry terror going. Although still, Malay are Malay, can go for example, trash 2-handed swordsman with free infantry upgrades. So there's options there, but it just feels like, Franks at this point a bit more scary in my estimation. Trying to now chase down the crossbowman with the mangonel is a bit of a risky endeavor. If Alexander had any cavalry at all or a siege weapon nearby, this might be a difficult one. But Umdeuter feeling confident at this point, moving out with the mangonel, and Alexander not currently looking to take that engagement. He does see it though, with all the outposts. Let's see how that's going to end. Knights in his eco now to boot. Oh, it's a horrible look. Scale barding on the way as well. Those are not upgraded yet at all. But without ballistics, it's difficult for Alex to really trade against them. Umdeuter trying to catch out the crossbowman on the bottom, perhaps. But I don't think he's got the upgrades and the numbers to really do a lot of damage here. Good micro though here, focusing some of the lower HP ones. Finally gonna take care of those knights. But you could already see with scale barding coming in, the crossbowman all of a sudden really struggling against that knight. And moves them out of harm's way just in time to get away from the mangonel. Trying to take the engagement after all though, decent split. Good shots going on against the mangonel. Again, a good dodge here, and despite now having the hill, Umdeuter not able to get another volley off. Fine trade here, okay. Raiding still on the backside with a singular crossbowman with 1 HP. I mean, this is a bit, I don't know, a bit rude, I would say. This guy is like on one leg, limping, launching crossbow bolts through the trees here at the wood line. If any villager just threw his axe on over there, there's a decent chance the guy collapses. But, well, he's causing some disruption there. Alexander is still in this one. Villager numbers looking very similar on both sides. Both players actually housed right now, funnily enough. But, I still somehow prefer the Franks position. I don't know, I can't lie. I Gotta say, really. He's even adding back fishing ships now, which, again, I think is a really good idea. And there's still lots of fish in the water, so why not go back into some fish? You're controlling the water anyways. And Alexander's still just opting into crossbowmen. Maybe that's just his, well, favorite unit, I don't know. Shooting again uphill on that mangonel. You can see how tough that is. Even not able to take it out. Probably gonna end up dying here. Good job bringing in the repair villager. And, oh, the crossbowmen, they're still moving forward. Getting the villager, but not the mangonel. Good trade here once more for Umdeuter. That was really nicely done here. Just enough kiting there to pick it up with the cavalry too, and now coming forward with the forward castle. There's no army to deny in this one for Alexander, and it feels like he's just going to get pushed back from here on out. He's going to need to find a different approach, because purely crossbowman is not going to be able to turn this game around. I can promise you that. He's not going back on water, and he's not adding anything other than crossbowman right now, so I'm not very optimistic. But it's proven to be very difficult to fight mangonels and knights with that, and now with the castles coming forward, the cheaper Frank castles, remember. It's not a battle that I would personally like to see find myself having to fight. Whew, Umdeuter coming forward in full force here, with the knights again going into Alexander's eco, putting up a defensive castle at home here, but not even securing that much with it, in all honesty. He's trying to get it up. He might not even be able to, although he's got enough villagers working on it, so that shouldn't be a problem. He's trading some army for it, though. Knights against crossbowmen. Difficult trades. The mangonel here getting some great shots in on the villagers too, but finally the castle does go up, so at least that's a partial success for Alexander, but he's losing, despite getting the castle up, he's still losing space here. For my money, that castle doesn't protect really a whole lot. But there was no way to deny that forward castle, so I guess it's the next best thing here. Stone wall on top, but really the entire bottom side is still open, so that's not going to be doing a whole lot either. And good job also from Umdeuter with the fire ships on all the coasts, trying to see if Alexander is going to go back on water or if he can find any picks on stray units. And he's still wreaking havoc with the cavalry here. He's not even being particularly careful with the knights. He's got chain barding and getting some additional upgrades now. Both players on the way to imp here at near the same time, but we can really see the score difference now, telling the story of, well, maybe not the entire game, but describing the game state quite well there. 1700 in favor of the Franks, who are taking back the map now as well and pushing forward. They still have so much in terms of resources here. 40 farms, 16k gold over here, 6k stone still there. I don't think resources should be a problem for Umdeuter in this one, and it's really, I mean, nice and all that Alexander is getting up to next age first. He's got that castle up. It's all good, and yeah, good job there, but I still don't see the game state changing just based on this. He's going to try to raid forward here with the karambits that we see in the south, and those are really good at harassing opponents' eco, but if Umdeuter reacts to that at all, I don't think Alexander is going to get enough damage done with that to swing the game back around. It's about 25 villager gap in favor of the Franks right here. They're also about to hit imp as well. Trebuchet is being produced by Alexander already, but I just don't feel like he can even defend those against the knights that Umdeuter is going to have streaming in at him soon. And you can really see those karambits just getting obliterated by the knights. They're good at raiding, but not much else here in this game. And with the castles going up too, there's really not a lot of exposed eco that could even be raided. So don't think Umdeuter is too worried about those karambits. And again, diving the castle with the knights. He doesn't even have the upgrades yet. Plate botting still on the way, he doesn't care. He's diving for the trap, taking that one out, and since he's imp himself, I feel like it's only a matter of time until his castle goes down. Umdeuter doing a great job here. Pretty good performance on his home map, and returning the serve, so to speak. Getting the ball back in Alexander's court. Up 35 villages at this point in Castle Age. All the upgrades coming in. Cavalier about to be in a second. He's not actually queuing up traps right now, actually. Oh, he is in his back castle, fair enough. Front castles are not currently producing, but there he goes. Okay, just took him some time maybe. Going to have Cavalier here in a second. And I don't see this castle surviving for Alexander. He doesn't have any units to take out enemy traps with, and he doesn't have anything to protect his own traps with. So that's why I see him just getting pushed back and completely off this map here within a few minutes. Yeah, still trying to raid, of course. When you're being pushed like this, the counter raiding is one of your best options, but I don't think there's angles there to really raid at. The easiest thing to raid would probably be the water eco, and that's the least significant part of Umdeuter's eco right now. Exchanging trebuchet shots, and now even the light cavalry being used by Umdeuter to raid the trebuchets. He doesn't even need gold units anymore to take out the traps. And is that going to be enough? It's difficult to tell, but yeah, that's the trebuchet going down. Castle following, and Alexander calls the GG. Series is tied up. And 1 each. Umdeuter won his home map. That is the bare minimum. And he's now going to have to repeat that task on the opponent's home map. But he's still the higher elo, higher seeded player. So we shouldn't underestimate his ability to perhaps close this one out. If we take a look back at the draft, oh yeah, Arena is going to be Alexander's home map that this series is going to be decided on. It's going to be not Incas, but Lithuanians against Mayans. Alright. And with Arena, that is a very controversial map that people have very differing opinions on. So it might well be that Umdeuter just isn't an Arena player. In that case, I assume he might have rather banned the map. But you don't have endless amounts of bans either way. So if he's not an Arena enthusiast, having that as a home map can be a big bonus for Alexander. Players that have good Arena builds and experience are going to have a big advantage over players who don't really play the map. So that being said, let's boot up that replay, shall we, and see how this decider ends up going through. Lithuanians against Mayans, not the terrible civs for this match. I feel like both players are going to be pretty happy with the civs that they got here, chosen by the opponents, of course. And let's dive straight in here. Game 3 of the series. It's semi-finals here. Winner moves on to the finals. Loser is out of the event. It's Mayans against Lithuanians here. 4th seed against the 8th. Let's check out what both these civs do, as we should have plenty of time here in the early game to discuss. We've got on the western side here Lithuanians, one of my OG favorite civs. I do like them a lot. I feel like they are pretty decent on this map as well. Why is that? Well, they have faster moving spearmen, and oftentimes in this map, in early castle age, well, it's always a fast castle, but after that, there's kind of 3 plays that people can go for. You can drop a castle on the opponent's face, which people love to do on the ladder, but never do in this tournament for some reason. You can go for triple TC boom immediately and get an eco lead. Just build up that way. I have seen Lithuanians do that on this map already and succeed in this tournament, although I think that was a bit of a lower elo game. And the third option is you can, most conventionally, skirmish for the relics in the middle. You make light cav or scouts, you make spearmen, and you make monks, and try to pick up more relics than the opponent. That is very tempting when you're playing as or against the Lithuanians, because, as we see right here, their bonuses revolve heavily around being able to pick up relics. They don't actually get the blast furnace upgrade in the blacksmith, so the knights lack +2 attack in imp compared to any other civs knights. But with the relic bonus, you are theoretically able to make up for that lack of blast furnace, and thus, if you're able to get at least 2 relics, you're gonna typically set up for a pretty good game as the Lithuanians, if you're going into knights, that is. So playing around the relics might be the focus here, but as I already said, I've seen Lithuanians completely ignore that fact and go for a robust eco instead and have success that way. So it really is a mind game for what you're trying to look for, and there's viable strategies either way. So we'll see how that one turns out. Since this is a pretty high elo game, I personally would expect players to contest the relics, but also still put up TCs behind that. Maybe 1 extra TC to start off with, and go from there. But we'll have to see. I mean, it is interesting. So to round out the Civ bonuses for the Lithuanians, starting with extra food and getting extra food with new TCs is pretty useful. Also helps a bit with the FC build that you of course want to go for. We've touched on the other two bonuses already, and faster working monasteries is pretty good as well when you're trying to contest the relics here. You're just gonna get those monks out faster, and thus that might be a good advantage to have too. So yeah, not bad. By the way, also tower shields as extra pierce armor for spearmen and skirmishers in the late game is pretty impactful as well. Because obviously, like in Trash Wars, pierce armor is really important. So pretty good upgrade for the late game if it comes to that point. But before we discuss that, let's check out what the Mayans have to offer for Umdeuter here, who's would probably have to be considered the favorite, although he's playing on the opponent's home map, so it's really difficult to assess here. He's playing as the Mayans, also a Civ I love to play Civ with really good eco typically, because you start with that extra villager. And you have also longer lasting resources in general. So if you're trying to go for a bit of a slower game, maybe give up a little bit of map control early on, then the gold and stone resources you have within your walls here on Arena will actually not expire as quickly. And thus, I think that's also pretty useful bonus to have on this map. Other bonuses, of course, include cheaper archers, scaling up throughout the game. Yeah, one of the best archer civs here, the Mayans, so love that bonus too. A unique unit, especially powerful archer there with the plumed archer, pretty mobile, really tough to get on top of. And as all meso civs, they also have really good skirmishers with the Castle Age unique tag. The super kind of ace card to end the game with as the Mayans is the Eldorado Eagle Warriors, though fully upgraded Imperial Age Eagles, again with any meso civ, is one of the strongest units in the game. Magnificent rating, really not countered by a lot of units. If you don't have hand cannoneers, slingers, or whatever else it is, you're really gonna struggle dealing with the Eagle Warriors in the late game. So it is difficult, but if there's one thing that can do it, maybe Latis or Paladins with a few relics as the Lithuanians could be a good answer. So we'll see. This is actually an interesting late game matchup because the armor compositions could be very interesting. You've got the very prominent Eagle Warriors for the Mayans, but you've got super strong heavy calf on the Lithuanian side. So that might be an interesting matchup depending on how many relics which player gets. That matchup might be swinging in the late game. You've also got plumed archers on the side for the Mayans, but very good skirmishers on the side of the Lithuanians. So that's also not to be underestimated there. Pretty interesting dichotomies there in the army types. And then you've got the super strong paladins for the Lithuanians, but you've got really good halberdiers for the Mayans too. And so, well, with really good halberdiers, I obviously just mean fully upgradable halberdiers. So that's really kind of my thoughts there. Difficult to see who's really got the edge here. Just looking forward to seeing how both these guys are going to play it out. We've almost killed all the time until the game starts, really, because of course we're expecting FC out of both players. Barracks up already for the Lithuanians. That is so interesting to me. So he obviously wants the stable market. Oh no, he's going stable blacksmith. I love this. People don't do this enough, man. He's going for the full aggression, man. Oftentimes I've seen people do stable market, but he's going stable blacksmith. So trusting in his eco balance and going up to Castle Age that way. Why are we not clicking up? There we go. Okay, bit idle time here, but nothing major. And Umdeuter is going to follow soon here, who's putting up blacksmith market. So that could indicate him actually going for a triple TC, right? Alexander already has the stable and the spearman and the blacksmith. God dang it! He's got the spearman, he's got the stable and the barracks up, so he's able to produce spearmen and scouts. There we are. All right, and that's exactly what he's doing right here. That's what I'm saying. If you're trying to contest the relics early, I think it's a really good idea to start with, to go for the FC with barracks and stable. And I can tell you guys, a 25 villager FC is pretty difficult to do with blacksmith market, but he did it with barracks, blacksmith, stables. So that is a really good build out of Alexander. And this is not a generic civ. This is a civ with that 100 food bonus, which obviously helps. But you really need to know your builds in order to get that down consistently. He's even able to pick up that Eagle Scout already. So good amount of map control already on his side. He's not making any spearmen, interestingly, but obviously he's not, because he's playing against some Mayans and I'm looking like a complete fool right here. So yeah. No, obviously you usually go for spearmen in the spot because the opponent is making scouts and monks and spearmen himself to contest the relics, but obviously the Mayans don't have cavalry, so against their eagles you won't need any barracks units. At least not the spearmen, because the longswords trade pretty effectively if that's the route you want to go to, which it typically is not. But both players up to Castle Age right now. Alexander a little bit faster, so he's going to get to put that monastery up first. On the other side, Umdeuter, he's got double barracks, interestingly, and now putting up the monastery too. So I spoke too soon. It's not like he's going into triple TC boom. He's still trying to contest the middle, but very late barracks here. Very late start to that spearman production here. And he's going to push back the scouts for now. Goes out onto the map and trying to secure those relics. The middle pretty much fully scouted here for Alexander. Also fully scouted for Umdeuter, so they know where the relics are at, and this could be very impactful early Castle Age to see who's able to get on top of these relics first. They are pretty awkward to access for Alexander. Feels like they are on average a little bit closer actually to Umdeuter's side. But let's see how the Lithuanians are going to be able to deal with this. They've got a lot of scout cavalry in the field right now. Monk behind this, second TC going up for both players. And Alexander trying to catch that first relic already. No monks just yet for Umdeuter. He's put up that monastery super fast, but he didn't have the gold. So the eco balance there not quite optimal. And he's making Eagle Warrior instead of a monk here. That might come to bite him, to be honest. He might have had a monk already, who knows, and lost it, but I don't think that was the case. Eagle Warrior is out, and that's just going to get picked off by the scouts, isn't it? No military upgrades for either side just yet, so that doesn't sound like a great fight. Good job by Umdeuter, though, catching out Alexander's spearmen. And now trying to save that Eagle Warrior himself, which he's able to do. Eagle's trading really well against monks. That's 2 monks right here for Alexander, but he's not quite been able to get out on the map. He's managed to secure 1 relic, which is nice, but he's going to need a little bit more with that. Loses one of the scouts, though. He's trying to trade into those eagles, but they are no joke. These are eagle warriors, not just eagle scouts. So without light cavalry upgrade, it's really difficult to trade here. You can see Alexander just not putting the clicks in here, not keeping the units moving, and man, you need to be on top of your game in a decider such as this one. Deletes the spearman actually here, is Umdeuter, and I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't think you should be deleting your spearman here. Just let it be converted and then kill the monk with the eagle, because now you ran the risk of him actually converting your eagle, but nonetheless he's able to take out the monk. So it is still a pretty open game here. Not a lot of relics picked up yet by either side, but it looks like 1 eagle was converted in the end for Alexander. And that's not bad, because that is again going to trade really well against enemy monks. Umdeuter now investing pretty heavily into military. He's got a lot on the field already. Knights being added by Alexander. I wonder where he's got all that gold from, because he really doesn't have a lot on gold, but he's making monks and knights, at least a little bit of them. So it's pretty gold intensive there what he's gotten on the map, and he's trading against those eagles now way more efficiently, of course, with his heavy cavalry. And finally gonna lose that knight, but some decent trades at the back end of this. Triple TC against 2 TCs here. Remember, plus 100 food for every TC you put up there as the Lithuanians helps transitioning in that villager production, which he's been able to keep going pretty nicely. He's got 1 extra TC, but only 2/3 of the idle TC time compared to the opponent, so I feel like he's going to be pretty happy with that. He's secured 1 relic already. You really want 2 at least, though. as the Lithuanians. So the skirmishing is not over just yet. He's guarding that relic down south here, but he's probably going to lose the first one here in front of the opponent's gate. He's gonna have that light cav, or that scout cav, I should say, swoop in. But well, oh, this is an interesting one. Oh, this is an interesting one. Is he gonna lose that monk? There's no way he's losing that monk. Oh, what negligence here for Umdeuter. He's gonna be kicking himself for that one. He had the free relic right in front of his gate, and he just tried to go out for another one. And he didn't look. He could have converted that eagle probably. Or just killed it with his own one. But he just wasn't paying attention then. If you're going for the sneaky relics, you have to be paying attention there. I don't hate that play. Not going for the obvious ones. But if you're doing that, you gotta be paying attention there. That is big. That's 100 gold down the drain. And a relic that could have been free is now all of a sudden going to be picked up. Well, not by the opponent, but you're not going to be able to pick it up just yet. That's what I'm saying. Alexander was trying to pick it up soon, since he had that eagle guarding it. But now realizing that, well, that eagle disappeared all of a sudden. It's going to be difficult to get that relic. Going to come with some knights and fight his way through there. Working towards picking up that relic. He's picked up 2 already, so pretty good success. He's taken the one in the far north, but he's now also closing in again on the southern one. There's a big army though coming for Umdeuter, trying to contest this one. He should pull back with that. No way. Oh, good job by Umdeuter. Yeah, he doesn't get distracted. This would have been too easy, but good job paying attention there. He's going to kill the monk and the knights. Yeah, they were trying to distract this army, but Umdeuter didn't fall for it this time around and is able to chase them off now. Even with a monk behind this, it's going to make it really hard for Alexander to contest for these forward relics. I don't think he should be able to get either of these two. The very middle one could be an interesting one though. There's a forward villager, but a lot of army on the map right now for Umdeuter. So it really feels difficult at this point for Alexander to get any more relics. He's kind of done the bare minimum here and picked up 2 of them. He fought heavily for that, but I'm not sure he's going to get any more. And he's getting chased back on all fronts now. The forward siege workshop is coming in. Got home safely with his monk, fortunately for him. But the map is now entirely in Umdeuter's hands. Alright, how is Alexander going to be playing this one? He's got 8 on stone. He's trying to get a castle up, because that's what he's going to need to defend this push that's about to be coming in. Umdeuter, on the other hand, also gathering the resources for a castle. He's going for the forward siege workshop. What is that? Is there not? No, it's barracks behind that. Okay, and just more infantry for now, it seems. Interesting choice there by Umdeuter to actually go for no artillery units yet at all. Full infantry and a siege tower. Let's go! I love to see it, man. He's employing my strats. The eagle raids are going to be coming in here in a second. I love to see that. And Alexander with no units right now to defend against eagles. That could be hitting him super hard. Luckily he's got 3 TCs, so he's able to garrison the main part of his villages. But what are we doing? Load up that siege tower. Okay, there we go. And he's going to get in there. This could be a brutal raid about to start here. Luckily he sees this. Oh, what's going on? Oh, what's going on? He's opened up the gate, but now he's walled in again. This is an awkward game state. My brain's exploding. He somehow managed to trap the siege tower behind the gate. And the eagles are trapped outside. What is this? I guess the eagle just can't go through and the rest are trapped outside. Okay, nonetheless, forward castle. This could have been a brutal siege tower. It was such a sloppy execution on it though. You need to load up that siege tower from outside the opponent's vision and then just right click the wall. No zigzag movement, straight to it so that there's no chance to wall behind that for Alexander. But he did a good job reacting very fast there and somehow was able to just trap that damn siege tower in front of or between his 2 gates. That's the funniest siege tower play I've ever seen. Castle going to be put up here right in front of his gate though, and he's going to put up his own behind this to defend. Identical Imperial Age timings for both these players. You can see we're dealing with pretty good players, but 20 villager advantage right now for Alexander. He's looking pretty fine. He doesn't have a lot of relics though, just 2 of them. So it's not like he's got that OP cavalry that's just going to net him a free victory there. Fortunately for him, he's dealing only with infantry right now, but if the Mayans get their halberdiers here, it's going to be quite tricky to go in there with your infantry and snipe the enemy trebuchets. So go in with that cavalry is what I mean, obviously. So I'm not sure just Laters alone are going to be able to take out enemy trebuchets. It's a difficult call there. So this one is not over just yet, despite Alexander having a healthy 25 eco lead. He's on the way to Imp as well, obviously, and he's getting good upgrades. He's attacking into infantry technologies too. Okay, so his answer seems to be longswordsmen. That's what I mentioned earlier. They trade really well. Two-handers and champions, of course, in that same line. Trade really well against Eagle Warriors. And also, of course, against Halberdiers. Only issue is you're not able to dive trebuchets with that. So if you want something against trebuchets, you're still gonna need some cavalry. Or maybe bombard cannons. I'm not sure if Lithuanians get those, though. Oh, monk forward for Umdeuter as well. I've got to be careful with that here. Alexander does. Not that the villager conversion would matter too much, but with the heavy cavalry, with the lightest, don't want to be giving that up. Alright, the castle is knocking on the door here, chipping away at the walls. Okay, if the eagles get in, it's GG, Alexander says. I'm not sure it's GG, but it's a heavy hit to your eco for sure. That's what I was saying, right? If 10 eagles get over that wall, he had no cavalry at that point, Alexander did, to defend against those eagles. So that would have been quite a few villages down and lots of idle time at the very least. So that was a clutch reaction, but also just sloppy for Umdeuter to show that siege tower so early before it was even loaded up. Okay, elite eagle upgrade coming in. Plate mail armor on top of that, and really good infantry upgrades already. I would love to see him tack into halberdiers though. At least pikemen. You gotta have that halberdier switch ready at the very instant the opponent shows heavy cavalry. Because you're expecting heavy cavalry against Lithuanians, right? Good mangonel shots here, trading against those eagles. Petars on the eastern side trying to blow up this base, and in go the eagles finally. That's a big amount of eagles here. No Eldorado yet, luckily, because if those had 100 HP each, this base would be dead at this point. But that's a lot of eagles to have get into your economy. Oh no, that's the trap going to go down. A lot of villages too. Luckily, he's got a lot of two-handed swordsmen already here. And look at this, they're trading so effectively against the Eagle Warriors. 40 two-handers, completely slaughtering those birds here. You can see that is not the way Umdeuter saw that raid going, and he's thrown away his entire army. Now all of a sudden Alexander has all the map. Oh well, he doesn't have it just yet, but he's got all the army to take back the map. And look how he's diving underneath that castle. He doesn't care anymore at all. He's pulling out his 200s to safety, but that trebuchet, man. Look at the lack of murder holes. He can just stand there and chop down those traps. Reminiscent of the old intro, right? Oh no. This is a disaster for Umdeuter. He thought he was getting in there and getting a huge raid off. He's still down 20 eco, and he's lost all of his eagles. He's going to lose the castle to boot. And the opponent with a heavy two-hander switch here. I mean, at this point you need archers against that. I don't really see what else the Mayans could be doing. He's gonna need archers, and he's got 0 tax or buildings for that just yet. He's preparing the switch over here in the east. Getting a defensive castle now. Fair enough, right? Double archery range put up there. He's tacking into his obelisk. It's taken him a while, but I mean, cheaper resources cost on those archers is nice and all. But you still need the production buildings, and still need to start stacking them up, because the two-handers are here right now, and they're completely forcing you back everywhere. They're taking out the forward buildings. TC's starting to be dropped forward too. Alexander is in a great game state here. Arson is coming in too, so now this infantry can start threatening town centers and castles, and they're going to be chopping those down quickly. Remember that relic bonus that the Lithuanians have doesn't work for infantry though. so they have comparatively low attack to other infantry units at this point in the game, but they just work so well against the Eagle Warriors that shouldn't be a big issue. TC has gone up, so he's able to save those villages too, and the Eagles aren't going to be finding any more success there either. Man, Umdeuter, what an unfortunate game for him. He's got to be so frustrated. He was so close there to getting a devastating raid off in this decider game. But Alexander now all in his element here on his home map, in a good game state here in the late game with the Lithuanians. You never want to count out the Mayans, but they're so behind at this point. They're trying to get fortified wall. He's a bit late, but he's still going to be able to get this one up here, presumably. Okay, and he's starting to mass those crossbows now, firing away at the two-handers, who are pretty tanky. I mean, look at the pierce armor. What is this? 3 pierce armor? Oh, okay, it's not as tanky as I thought. Doesn't he have gambesons? Maybe Lithuanians don't get gambesons. Fair enough. He's firing away at the castle now. Mayans, how much time can they buy themselves here? It's hard to say. I mean, the castle is starting to go down. He's got nothing to dive the trebuchets with. He would need Eagle Warriors for that. That's the only weapon Mayans have against traps. But here come the champions, man. The upgrade is in, and that's well, 10 extra HP on those is kind of the big part. Still getting more upgrades. I mean, it's not the most conventional, right? You can see the imp upgrades both for armor and attack lacking here for the Lithuanians. But it works just fine against Eagles. Arbalists in now for the Mayans, and they trade really well against these champions. So that Alexander cannot afford to engage that. Against the Arbalest, he might end up struggling. Okay, the Arbalest moving forward. I mean, good. There's really good skirmishers. We've seen this. We saw this earlier. Remember, skirmishers get extra pierce armor for the Lithuanians. If you get the unique tech, he might have to tack into that. Honestly, at this point, he's gotten Cavalier upgrade now, though, so it looks like that's what he's trying to use against the Arbalest. He cannot be surprised by this tech switch, right? I mean, you slaughtered the enemy Eagles with your two-handers. You know the opponent is going to tech into archers after that. You need an answer, and to me the obvious answer would have been Lithuanian skirmishers. That's a lot of blacksmith techs required for that, so I get maybe that would be the reason why I didn't want to do that, but he's now begrudgingly doing it anyways. Bit late there. I really gotta say, big late. This cannot be a surprise to him, the Arbalests. And with 3 or 4k gold in the bank, I don't really think there's an excuse for not having the skirmishers ready. Nonetheless, he's got the time, because he's now controlling the map and has a lot of military, so it's not like the Arbalests are just going to roll through. You can see he doesn't really know what to do with those either. He's pushed back the champions, but what now, right? Pushing back with his own trebuchets, at least he's able to save that castle. But a Cavalier raid is being prepared on the other side. Finally, Mayans taken into Halberdier, or at least into pikemen. Knowing that cavalry is still a very real threat, and in go the Cavalier now. What is he going to target with those? It looks like he's just trying to raid villagers, not the trebuchet so much. And he's going to get a few villager picks, presumably. There's no reaction yet from Umdeuter. He sent his pikemen, but he's not garrisoning, finally pulling back the villagers. And the Cavalier are going to be routed, having to retreat as well. There's a bombard cannon for Lithuanians. Okay, I wasn't sure if they got that one, but that's going to be effective against the trebuchets. Forward town center, I don't think is going to be going up. I mean, this is just a bit, it is just a bit greedy for Umdeuter. Sure, you've regained the map control a little bit with your Arbalests, but yeah, the straight town center drop so far forward, don't think ever was quite realistic. And we see those elite skirms now coming in for the Lithuanians. I didn't quite catch if he picked up the imp tech just yet, but if he did, those skirmishers are super tanky and really good against the enemy Arbalests. So that's rough trades to take for Umdeuter, who's starting to push back the production buildings, admittedly. So he's doing a good job. This game is kind of going back and forth, but still so much of a better eco for Alexander, who's still floating 4,000 gold. It looks like his position is really good. As I said, both these players have 8S+ tier army options for the late game, but And with the eco consider, with the 2 relics that Alexander has, I feel like he's in a pretty good spot. Now, Mayans are, again, they're super scary in the late game themselves, and the Halberdiers aren't the greatest option here. Look at how this front line melts. The champions completely slaughtering the line of Eagles and Halberdiers, and the Arbalests trade really good against the champions themselves now. Both players actually losing a lot of army here. The front lines from either party not tanky, but the bad news is the back lines trading against each other is heavily in favor of Alexander. He doesn't have the numbers right now, so the skirmishers aren't going to be taking out all the Arbalests. But look how tanky they are and how effective this trade is. He just needs to keep a few units around to guard against the Eagle Warriors. But if he's able to actually get into such a backline versus backline fight, such as we just saw, the skirms against the Arbalests is a pretty good trade to be taking. And I don't think he was too sad about this engagement that he just took there. Gotta be a bit more preservative of his units though. Oh, I don't like his army distribution right now. We have Umdeuter pushing forward in the middle. He's got all his units close together, and he's able to take really good trades right now, slaughtering the infantry in the west, killing some cavalry over there in the east, and still trading super well against skirmishers down south with his own Eagle Warriors. The position is really good for Umdeuter right now in terms of strategic control of the map here. He's got his units all in the right place. He's going to need to send the Eagles south against the skirmishers, though he can't afford to get his Arbalests picked off. They are all that's protecting his trebuchets right now against the enemy cavalry and infantry. So he can't be giving those up. It's a really messy game on both sides now. It's a deciding game, so either side having a big fuck up could ruin their tournament lives here. It's always at the back of these guys' mind, but they're just playing right now and giving it their all. Arbalests starting to go down here. It feels like Alexander has the eco to just spam the Mayans to death right here. This push is being halted, and slowly the trebuchets start being cut down too. The hand cannoneers, as I said earlier, that's one of the only options in the late game that completely negates Eagle Warriors. Still no Eldorado on those, so they're especially squishy here, and that's lots of hand cannoneers to be fielding here. 10 of them actually. And look at this, they're just gunning down Eagle after help after Eagle, and it is the entire army of the Mayans that's been taken out right now. Forward with a lot of stuff here. He's got that castle on the side. He's dropping an even more forward castle, but he's not really denying stuff with that, and he's given up his entire army in the process. I don't think this was a really good trade for him. He's gotten into the enemy eco, but he's got no units anymore to raid there. So I really think Alexander has bought himself a big advantage here. Can't lie, man. He's controlling the middle of the map now. He's got the army advantage at this point. And the hand cannoneers were a beautiful addition there, with the cavaliers still raiding the eco at all times. Umdeuter, man, I don't think he's got the tools at his disposal that he needs to be pushing this stuff back. Skirmishers are so good though against the hand cannoneers then. So it's really a tricky one, and it could all come down to some army control here. The Cavalier going in once more, but against Halberdier, I don't know, the numbers just always seem to be a bit bigger for Alexander, possibly because his better eco situation. That might be coming into play here at this point. He's just been able to field a few more soldiers, it feels like, in all these battles, and so even if he hasn't taken the most efficient trades, he's been able to win a few of those. Able to take out that first castle already, and he's bringing the bombard cannons over to the southern one now. Umdeuter is losing the map control that he bought himself back with that arbalest stack earlier, and he's running out of gold at home, isn't he? Where does he have any gold left? I don't think he's got anything. This forward gold is the last he has, and I think we might be looking at a GG coming in soon here, because he doesn't have any gold. Okay, no, there's this one over here, but that's nothing to speak of really. That's 500. That's as good as over here. Man, the Lithuanians just managing to outlast the Mayans here, just by merits of having a better economy and finding the right answers in terms of army when they were needed. Sure, he was a bit late on the skirmishers, maybe on the hand cannoneers as well, but those were a pretty good addition then, and swung the battle heavily. And at this point I don't see what Umdeuter can do to turn this one around really. 100 villagers only, quote unquote, and able to field nothing but trash units from here on out. I don't think he's got it in him to cause one more turnaround in this game, which has swung back and forth so many times between these two guys. After two rather one-sided first games, this one here was in the balance for a long while. After Alexander has separated himself here and is likely to close this one out soon. It's just, we've all been there, when the gold starts running out, there's not many options left for you to trade with. And we're looking at 4th seed likely exiting this bracket here. It is only an 8th player bracket, by the way, Group D here. So Alexander, as the lowest seeded one, is likely going to advance to the finals, which is a big achievement already. 1687 was his peak elo too, so he's playing against guys who are both currently and in the past quite a bit higher rated than him. He's showing a great performance here though, and this shouldn't be taking that much longer, I think. Really is, I mean, props for Umdeuter for trying everything really, but I don't think there's that much more left to try here. I know, good meso skirmishes and all, but to what avail really? He's being pushed back everywhere and he's lost control of that last gold now. 90 gold left on that pile. He's repairing that castle. It's like kind of the last attempt to hold on to control over here in the east. But again, what does this castle even protect for you anymore? This pile of gold? It feels like time is run out at this point. Traps, bombard cannons, everything pushing him back right now. And he's soon gonna start even getting broken into in his original base, so yeah, he's not controlling anything anymore at this point. Even, wow, okay, we're now having fun. We're even making the winged hussars here, the Lithuanians. The light cavalry, which isn't a bad idea, right? If the opponent's only making trash, why would you be making anything else? If, especially because you have pretty good trash units yourselves as the Lithuanians, makes sense to preserve that gold a little bit. And he doesn't have a lot of gold left over anymore either, right? I mean, he wants to ideally be picking up those 2000 here in the middle of the map, so it's not like he can just afford to throw around all that gold he has, which isn't that much anymore. But yeah, he's owning the map, and that should be enough. Both military and eco very much in his favor. Winged hussars. Doesn't matter that they're trading into halberdiers. There's no good trades at this point anymore for Umdeuter, just because his resources are way more finite than his opponents. And with the base open, not looking too good. He calls it right here. All right. A back and forth series, and especially game 3 ends with Alexander as the lowest seeded player, moving on to the finals in Group D, which hopefully we'll be able to cast as well. I don't think I've actually seen any updates on that or when that's going to take place. But regardless, for now, we've got the first finalist in this group. Don't even know if the second semifinals has already been played. Probably has, so I might be BSing you guys here. It was a really fun series here. I can't wait to see a best of 5 in the finals, obviously, to figure out who will end up winning this bracket. But Alexander will have the chance to go for that cash prize and the bracket victory, while Umdeuter, he's sadly out of the event at this point, but also had a good run here, and certainly just a few things different could have ended up with him going to the finals. So shouldn't be too mad about how this all went. In the end, it's still a deserving victory though. Alexander with his Lithuanians once more winning on Arena. Seems like they're not that bad a civ actually to have on this map. So that is it. Oh, wow. Alexander saying the game is today at 18 GMT. Was that posted? Did I just miss that or what? Oh, that was posted. I guess. Don't tell me you've got fucking Thomas Müller as your profile picture on Discord. Am I tripping? Oh boy. Either way. It's scheduled for today at 6 PM GMT. Alright. In that case, that's almost 3 hours from now. Maybe I can live cast that. Probably I can, yeah. We'll see though. I'll try to live cast that, so make sure to send me the links or post maybe the drafts or the game links. Either send it in DM or just in the group chat. I don't really mind. Either way would be fine. But I'll try to make that then and see if I can be there live for that. That would be cool. So there we have it. Sunday today. Not when you're seeing this on YouTube, it will already have happened, but for right now, it's going to be in a few hours the finals of this bracket. Alexander moving on there, and we'll have a chance at winning the entire thing. So that was a cool one. I'll try to be there in around about 2 to 3 hours from now, and that's gonna be it for now though. I have to do some business until then. So yeah, I'll see you guys then, and hope you enjoyed this one.